as I said at the beginning of the show, we had a very special guest that will be joining us at the end of the show. For those who follow BallisLife on Twitter, might know him. His name is Zach Noble. He is the host of the BallisLife podcast, the Noble-Roosh Show, and Four Seasons. Some fun facts about Zach Noble. He's had over 60 NBA players on his show and over 160 great guests overall. And just like the rest of us, he is a lifelong Timberwolves fan.
Sounds great. I look forward to it.
All righty. Well, Zach, we know that you are a Timberwolves fan. And the Timberwolves, we just never know what we're going to get out of them. So we're just wondering, what do you believe the Timberwolves ceiling and floor will be this year?
Man, that's a wild card for sure, because you got two guys like Towns and D'Angelo Russell, who we haven't seen the best of yet. Their ceilings vary from person to person. I personally think they're on the higher side of both of them. I think Cat could end up being a top 7, top 10 player. I'm just waiting to see that player come out in them.
I think we all are.
Yeah, right. So I'm not going to hold my head too much longer. This is the year. It's put up or shut up for me. I got higher expectations than most. So if we're able to somehow develop some of these other guys much quicker than I think we will be able to, I mean, our ceiling could potentially be like the 7th, 8th seed. That's being ultra optimistic, that's for sure. But the low side of things, I think we could finish as low as 14 in the West. I don't think that's unrealistic at all. I think it's actually pretty likely the way our roster is constructed. We have absolutely no defense right now on paper outside of Okogie and maybe a young Jared Culver. I believe in his defense. It's just, do we have the coaching to get the defensive out of him as well? And I'm a very big Ryan Saunders pessimist, so that's a big downside for me. It's just, I'm a huge believer in coaches. I'm much higher on coaches around the league in general. So when we have a terrible coach like I think we do right now, it's not a good look. So I need to be proven otherwise.
Oh, hey, you're just proving Will's point here. Will is a very Ryan Saunders pessimist as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll say, I like Ryan Saunders as a player coach. I always loved him as a part of the roster, but I agree with you. There's just too many questions about a head coach. I never thought he should have gotten the head coach job going from the interim, and I think my biggest problem is I don't see any accountability coming from Ryan Saunders and coming from the Timberwolves team, and I think that's just going to kind of trickle down, and I'm like you, I'm very worried about us on the defensive side of the ball. I think Rubio, we saw a couple nice plays, I will say, in the preseason. I think Rubio is going to be a very important addition on that defensive side of the ball. There were a couple of plays where Anthony Edwards kind of missed his assignment, missed his switch, missed his rotations, and you saw Rubio kind of telling him what to do. So I like that from Rubio, but I agree with you. Outside of Josh Okogie, with us cutting Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, I don't know where we're going to find that defense. I'm hoping Jarrett Culver continues this trajectory forward. I loved what I saw out of him in the preseason, but there's just a lot of cause for concern with me, and I think we need a better coach to really take this team to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, at the hire, he wasn't my first pick as well, but I wasn't extremely disappointed when we did, because I did believe in him a lot more than I do now. But you're right; it's all about accountability, and there's none of it from the top of the organization down right now, and we're setting all the media up, all of our big media heads in Minnesota. We're setting this precedent where it's kind of giving them a free pass this year. It's just like a developmental season. That should not be the case at all, because a guy like Cat and D'Lo, and the way players are becoming more and more adept to wanting to leave earlier in their contracts, and it's just becoming okay. We got to try to win as quickly as possible when you do have these players that have been around 4 or 5 plus years. You just got to act. You got to have more urgency all the time, in my estimation. And I don't care if you got more development on your team like we do. It's just get players that show a vision, get players that show construction, and there's none of that. They're just throwing 5 guards out there, and hopefully something will stick and maybe we get lucky. So it's a lot more praying and then research and science in my estimation.
Yeah, I think we all agree with you. We all have a lot of questions for this Timberwolves team, but as
the talent's
Timberwolves
there,
yeah, the talent's there, and as Timberwolves fans, all we can do is be optimistic and hope we prove him wrong.
And I tell everybody, I'm always going to be optimistic as long as there's at least one player to really believe in, and we're lucky enough where we got 3 or 4.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's just, I always say it's this concerning position of, we look at the teams where, we just went through all of our predictions of our standings, and I'm looking at all the teams where are similar to the Wolves, and we're really the only situation where we have so much young talent, where we're paying, we've got Karl Anthony Towns on that max deal, we've got D'Angelo Russell on the big contract, and it's just for our talent and for what we're paying our guys, it hasn't yet matched up with the results. So I'm pessimistic, but that is me naturally as a sports fan, I think, when it comes to Minnesota sports. But I agree. I think if we can figure this out, man, I think we can definitely be as high as a 7 seed, which is, that would be the stars aligning. But I think the ceiling is very high for this Wolves team. I think we get a couple of roster moves. Maybe I definitely look for Gerson to make some important, crucial roster moves in the season come trade deadline. I just think, it's just that defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a glaring hole, and it's when you got an offense that's not really structured, and we're going to be just surviving off a lot of isolation and hopefully players develop into shooters. Yeah, you're going to need defense. It's a given, and there's too many guys out there that are, Minnesota guys that are just like, I'm guaranteeing this is a top 7, top 10 offense. No, you can't guarantee that at all. The way this roster's set up. It's interesting, and it's going to be a wild season for sure. It's just great to know that Gerson's always trying to improve this, and he's not afraid to wheel and deal. So that's always great to think about.
Yes, we are very excited for the Timberwolves season. And recently the Timberwolves just took Anthony Edwards with the number 1 overall pick. But I feel like everyone kind of has an idea who the top prospects are and, how – kind of have an idea how good they're going to be. So our question for you is there anyone that was taken outside of the lottery that you believe the league and fans are sleeping on right now?
Outside of the lottery. So I'm a lot higher on this draft than most. I think it's actually going to be a very deep draft, just not top heavy. And I've been saying this all along. But for me, at 31, Tyrell Terry, he's my sleeper of the draft. Bar none. I think he's going to have a phenomenal career, and he's going to be perfect next to Luka. He's the first one that comes to my mind. Desmond Bane. I love
Desmond Bane.
I don't have my whole board in front of me by any means, but you name it. Precious is another one that I really like. Let's see. Outside of the lottery.
Yeah, one I really love is Cole Anthony in Orlando. Even though
I forget he was out there.
Yeah, he might be playing behind Markelle Fultz for a bit, who just got paid today. But I really like him. I think he's going to be a really solid point guard for them, and I think he might eventually take that starting spot.
I think he should honestly almost start right from the beginning and have Evan Fournier come off the bench or Fultz. I just think I'm a firm believer in when you don't have a very deep team, let the rookie, if he's good enough and you think he's going to be good enough soon, let the rookie start and then have a really good guy off your bench. Then you at least have some bench scoring and you improve your bench, especially when you're not a really good team overall. I don't think it can hurt you at all. But that's just a take on my behalf. I truly think a lot of these guys should be starting earlier than they will be.
Yeah, it's really interesting with the shortened off season. I wouldn't be surprised if at the beginning of the season we see less rookies playing right away. But yeah, I think it's a season where we're going to see a lot more rookies getting thrown into much higher roles.
I agree with you. I really like the draft class. I don't know if there's going to be that many all-stars, but I think there's going to be a lot of starters for years to come.
I'm going to give you my other two guys that I'm extremely high in outside the lottery, and that's at 19, Sadiq Bey.
Yes.
In Detroit. I think he's going to be phenomenal. Just almost like an OG Anunoby. I mean, a really good role player. I think he should be a high-end starter by year 2. And then RJ Hampton, I'm just worried he's not going to get the time in Denver, but RJ could have gone top 10 for me.
Yeah, here at Across the Plain, we all love Saddiq Bey.
I was hoping he fell to the Wolves at 22,
right.
23.
I was extremely pissed when we traded our 17 pick, and then we do some bullshit with that late in the 20s where we could have still had him almost if we would have played our cards right.
Yeah, instead we got Ricky Rubio.
Yeah. And Leandro Balmaro.
Yeah, I do like the later draft picks for the Wolves.
I like Jaden. And I would have much rather had Kelly Oubre than Ricky Rubio. But hey, I'm not extremely.
I was yelling at Marcel.
I'm okay.
I was yelling at Marcel. Hey, that 17 pick. Let's call Phoenix for a Kelly Oubre, or let's call Houston for a PJ Tucker.
We called OKC for Ricky Rubio.
We want Ricky back.
Right. I'm sure we could have had him too. That's the shitty part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that I loved. I mean, I think that those two moves were a little head scratching for me. I think we could have done a little bit more than with those two picks, and turn into Ricky Rubio and Balmaro. I will say I think the guy that I think can really make an impact this season is going to be Tyrese Maxey. I really like what I saw out of him in the limited preseason. There's a lot of now he's on one of those teams where they are contending. And it might not be the first year, but I think he's a player that we're going to realize that he's much more valuable than where he got drafted. And I'm also with you on RJ Hampton, man. The Nuggets just so far have just been doing a really good job of picking these players that maybe a year ago they were projected as high as top 10. Michael Porter Jr., RJ Hampton, and I think. Give it a year or two, he's going to be a huge impact player for the Nuggets.
Yeah, they developed really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see like what we saw with Michael Porter, where this year, year 3 for Michael Porter, they're going to be asking a lot from him, and I think he'll deliver.
They're a team full of steals. Every year they get a steal, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. That's
must be nice.
Awesome organization there over in Denver. I love what they've done. Love what they're building there.
So Zach, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, super high on him. I mean, just down the list. I mean, Monty Morris, steal. PJ Dozier, steal. Bull, steal. I think Zeke Naji will end up being one as well.
Shout out Hopkins.
Yep, Hopkins' very own. So Zach, as Timberwolves fans, we don't tend to enjoy the second half of the season, as we're usually out of the playoff race, and we're usually benching players, so it's not super exciting. So if you were to pick a league pass team, a team other than the Timberwolves you are very excited to watch this year, who would it be?
Yeah, so I'm a guy that honestly watches 90% of all teams' games. I'm a psycho like that. I love watching everybody and just the difference, through the thick and the thin, the bad, the good, bad, and the ugly. But the team I honestly pinpoint more than anybody right now, I'll give you one in the East and one in the West. And then the West, I'm going to go with Phoenix. I mean, I know it's a pretty stereotypical pick right now because of Chris Paul and just the fun young core they have there. But, yeah, I believe in them. I think they have the roster construction if everybody reaches their full potential to actually become a legit contender with the players they have on their team if they fully develop. But the chances they all fully develop to where I think they will aren't very good. But I love Phoenix and what they got going on. I also like Monty Williams there, so that helps. But the team of the East, I'll say the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
I'm a big John Collins guy. I love Trae Young, but it's just super interesting what they're going to do with the minutes. And they're like the deepest team in the NBA outside of the Brooklyn Nets, in my estimation. I don't believe in Hunter and Herder and Hunter Herder. Nah, those are the only two I really don't believe in as much as the average person. But everybody else on that team, like Cam Reddish, I think he has all-star potential. I really do. It's just who's going to get the minutes and are they going to be able to develop fully? And Lloyd Pierce, I'm skeptical of him. But, no, I love that team. And Bogdan and Danilo being there is just going to help elevate this team quicker and sooner than later for sure.
I 100% agree with you on the Hawks. I'm actually higher on the Hawks than most people. I think I have Lloyd Pierce winning Coach of the Year. I really like him as a coach, and I honestly think the Hawks can be as good as a 5 seed. I think Trae Young's going to take another step. I think I like DeAndre Hunter. I'm actually a big fan of their wings. I think they have one of probably the deepest wing groups in the league. And I really like the Rondo being a backup point guard for them. I think that's a great addition for them. So yeah, I'm also really high on the Hawks, and the Dallas Mavericks would be my other one. I just love watching Luka Doncic. he's one of my favorite players in the league to watch.
If you don't like watching them, I mean, you probably don't like watching the NBA in general.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as fun as they get for sure, and it's just a bunch of non-athletic guys all the way around for the most part. I mean, they probably have one or two really good athletes on their entire team, and that's why it's so different and fun in general. But I mean, it's just a different type of athlete, that's for sure. Not bouncy.
Yeah, I love those 2 picks. So my teams are actually different. I'll say out of the East, and I won't ever let these guys here at Across the Plain.
Oh my God,
they'll never hear the end of it, man. I am the biggest LaMelo Ball fan. I have not missed.
Oh boy.
I haven't missed a Hornets preseason game, and you know, I will say, even without LaMelo Ball on the floor, that is a fun team to watch.
Right.
I really like what they're building. It's tough because when I was presented with that question of my League Pass team, I'm like, man, I just would like to have both of those guys up on the monitor at the same time. But the Hawks are going to be fun. I'm really excited for the Hornets. I think they can really outperform where a lot of people have them. I think their ceiling is definitely a playoff team in the East. My bottom, I have the Wizards at the 8th seed. I think they could easily replace the Wizards at the 8th seed. I've always been a Gordon Hayward fan. I'm a huge Bridges fan. I think he's going to take a huge step forward. You know, I think Terry Rozier as your starting point guard, good, not great, a little overpaid, but I said that they make a move for a big man before the trade deadline to really, you know, increase the trajectory of that team. And then out of the West, I'm excited to watch the Warriors. I would say the Pelicans, but they have just so many nationally televised games.
They're not even a League Pass team anymore.
Exactly. So I'm really excited for the Warriors. I'm also I know this is as a Wolves fan. I'm actually an Andrew Wiggins fan. I'm excited to see.
I gotta be. I gotta be. I'm a KU alum, man.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So honestly, I think Wiggins' tenure in Minnesota is always going to be looked down upon more than it should. Sure, is he overpaid? Yeah, I'll give you that. But you know, for a career 19 points a game player, I think he's going to do good things on that Warriors team. I think we see the best defensive Wiggins we ever see. And I'm just excited to see him with an elite coach and an elite offense playing next to Steph Curry. It was really fun when we saw them in the preseason. And, you know, the Warriors, you know, just going through NBA Twitter and looking at all these different establishment media projections, the Warriors are a team that's really all over the board for people. I mean, I've seen people have them up as high as a 3 seed, and I've seen people have them, you know, down at 12. So that's going to be a really interesting team for me as the Warriors there, and I'm excited to see Wiseman. I really liked Wiseman a lot, and Andrew Wiggins, man, I really want to see him do good.
That's for your LaMelo Ball take. Yeah, I liked what I saw in the preseason. Definitely flashes. Just definitely could have drafted him off one skill, his passing. Really, I mean, his playmaking is going to be there as well. And if anything else is above average, the dude's going to be phenomenal. I really believe it. But if he's not starting game one, back to my earlier point, if he's not starting game one, you'll be hearing me screaming like, Terry Rozier needs to be coming off the bench. LaMelo Ball needs the keys to the franchise immediately. They got to just let him run and let him go. And I definitely believe in Bridges and PJ Washington more than the average for sure.
I think in most off-season situations, it'd probably be a no-brainer. He starts, but just because of the shortened off-season, I feel like some teams are going to bring their rookies in a little slower than usual.
Yeah, I also think we just overall from the rookie class, I think we're going to see a lot of overreactions from some poor shooting from the rookies in general. There's obviously going to be some exceptions to that, but I think in general, with no real off season for these rookies, we're going to see growing pains. Honestly, I think LaMelo Ball, I wouldn't be surprised if he shoots under 30% from three and under 40% from the field year one. Maybe, it's going to take a while, I think, for that efficiency shooting wise. But I agree with you. If he's above average at defense or rebounding, I mean, he's going to be an elite player. And I always keep going back to look at how Lonzo Ball has changed his shot form. It is a completely different shot form this year going into this year, from last year going into this year, and I think they're a hardworking family, man. I love the Ball brothers. I love the Ball family. I'll admit it, man. I love LeVar Ball. I think I love everything about the Ball brothers. So I'm excited for these Hornets.
Just had LeVar on my show a few weeks ago.
Oh wow.
I did not. I was not aware of that. I will definitely have to give that a listen.
My only worry with LaMelo Ball is he's not getting to the free throw line enough, and that really helps improve shooting in general because it's just you in the free throw line. You can knock it down, and he shot all right over in Australia from the free throw line, but the fact that he's not even getting to the line kind of worries me.
I love how he can push the tempo, though.
I mean, that's the way the league's going. Everybody's going to push the tempo. The Wolves were third in pace last year. Everyone's going to be pushing. It's a matter of who can make that, 3/4 court pass, like a LaMelo.
Absolutely. And you'll hear this from me nonstop. Like, I'm never going to overreact to rookies, first or second year players having bad shooting streaks, and especially at the beginning of the season. It's the last thing I'm going to worry about. It's just I need to see somewhat improvement throughout the year, and whether it's their form or the percentages. I mean, at the end of the day, percentages are the most important, but that's the easiest thing to change, in my estimation, unless you're really fucked up like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. It's pretty interchangeable. It really is if you get yourself a shot doctor. So many guys have changed over their career and early on. So, Jared Culver, I mean, he's already looking much better off last year. RJ Barrett, I mean, I think both of them are going to skyrocket from a percentage standpoint.
Oh, man, I hope you're right about Jared Culver. I
think he is right about Jared Culver.
I've been on the Jared Culver is going to be a much better player train all offseason. He definitely ended. His second half of the year was much better than the first half of the year. So
for sure, and a lot of people won't even recognize that. And it's just, I mean, little things with Culver too, all around. Like, he became a pretty dang good defender by the end of the year as well.
All right. So it is no kept secret that James Harden wants out of Houston. How do you personally believe that situation is going to play out?
Yeah, so it's played out exactly like I've thought so far. I mean, it's very stereotypical, like any other trade demand, to be honest. I mean, it always looks a tad bit different because every player's personality and what their likes and interests are differentiate a bit. But, I mean, it's the steps. I mean, the 8-step program of demanding a trade to get out of town, it is definitely going down that path. And thing is, I mean, he's probably the guy that's worth the second most and like almost of all time that I can think about outside of Anthony Davis. I mean, Kawhi Leonard was coming off an injury, so I think James Harden's almost worth more now than Kawhi was. That's for sure. So the big thing is, Houston's not going to, I mean, they're playing it really smart. They know how much they can get and how much he's worth. They know he's not going to waste his career. I don't think so. I think he likes the guys on the team enough to, like, put up a hissy fit and not give it 100% while he's there, because that's going to just, one, tank his trade value, but also waste his career. And I think Houston means enough to James, and the players around him are close to him enough where I don't think he's going to tank the year. So I think this could play out a little longer, but it won't shock me if it happens right now, or it won't shock me if it happens in 3 months. But, I mean, 3 months ago, there's a good chance the Rockets look really good. John Wall's healthy, DeMarcus Cousins is healthy, and Christian Wood keeps improving. Then James Harden could have the best team he's ever had, and he sticks around. But I don't think that chance is very likely. I really don't. I mean, I don't think Boogie's ever going to get back to where he was and be good enough to get James to stick around. But I do think Philadelphia has the best chance to land him. I do. That relationship, Ben Simmons being the piece that's floated around, I don't think they're going to get anything better unless they like a Denver a Toronto package better. And I don't think they really care about James's feelings, nor should they, of where they want to send him to. So really, it's just going to be where the best package. Nothing would surprise me where he ends up, but I do know they're going to wait till they know they have adequate value for him.
Yeah, and I think right now the Houston Rockets have to just be the biggest question mark in the league right now, because if they have James Harden, they're good, and then they trade him. There's a good chance you're getting a package back that's still good enough to be competitive today, and then plus wherever you trade them to, that team's win totals we're probably gonna have to look to go up. So him and the Rockets are just the biggest. They decide how this they are a big clog in how the league goes this year. If he goes to Brooklyn, Miami, Philadelphia, then we have a totally new group of title contenders. But if he stays in Houston until the trade deadline, or finish the season, they trade him next offseason, then you got to include Houston to that crazy Western playoff picture. And it's going to be interesting how it plays out. I think they trade him sooner rather than later. And I think eventually you have to.
Yeah, I think they want to. I think they really want to, because you can tell, just by his press conference today, it's obvious. Like, he's really never stated in person his words out of his mouth that he's demanding a trade, but he's made it look just as obvious by the runaround and not coming out and saying he doesn't want one. So he definitely wants out of there, and his body language isn't good. So I think they definitely want to move him, because it's going to hurt the rest of the development and the team that they have going, because they want to get Steven Silas set up on the right path, and you want a team that's fully engaged.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments coming from NBA analysts about how prior to this year that Rockets team was kind of James Harden's teams, and now they're doing it a little differently. And so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I agree with you. I think this roster is actually pretty good. I have Christian Wood as my most improved player. I think he can be a 20-10 guy, but it's just, the package you get, like, how do you, like we're saying, how you can't really ask for too much for James Harden, but
yes, you can.
You can.
You have to.
You have to. That's what I meant. Sorry, you can't ask for. There's no package that's too ridiculous for James Harden, but the guys I see it thrown around, like a Ben Simmons, how does a Ben Simmons fit in that Rockets offense? Say next to a John Wall, it's just so many question marks.
Right.
I personally would like to see a trade to the Sixers. That's what I would like, but it could be anyone.
Here's the thing. When it comes down to trading a player like this, it really fit is the last thing on your list of requirements and your wish list. You're just hoping for the best available, and you'll figure out the rest later. You'll trade around that player, the pieces you get back. But Ben Simmons, I think by the majority, is probably the best piece being floated out there. But there should be a lot more smarter GMs than I'm seeing and hearing. That's for sure. I truly think about 12 to 14 teams should be involved. And this guy, at the end of the day, it all depends on how many great years you think James Harden has. From my perspective, I think he has 4 great years left. I really do. Maybe even longer with the type of athleticism he uses. I don't think he exerts a lot. I definitely think his game is going to translate as long as he stays in really good shape like he is, and not the Instagram shape that people make him out to be in.
Yeah, I definitely James Harden longevity, skills and longevity kind of reminds me of Jamal Crawford. He'll be a better player than Jamal Crawford later than Crawford was later in his career. But their game allows them to keep playing until they're in their late 30s and 40s. Doesn't rely on a whole lot of athleticism. So whoever's getting James Harden is gonna have to sell a lot. And honestly, I think they're gonna be happy with whatever they get.
Let me ask you guys this: where would you want him to land, like, for the most fun for the league in your eyes?
I think Atlanta Hawks for me.
Love it.
Yeah, James Harden partying in Atlanta would be.
That'd be nuts.
Jake, we're on the same page tonight. I was thinking the Hawks. He obviously loves the Atlanta club scene. Period. I couldn't imagine having much more fun than with a Trae Young and a John Collins catching lobs. And then potentially him and Clint Capella could get reunited, and those two were freaking awesome in the pick and roll game together.
Yes, sir.
If I had to pick one, it'd probably be, as long as they don't have to give up Jimmy or Bam, it'd probably be Miami.
Yeah, Miami too.
One, James Harden would just love living in Miami, no doubt. He would love playing in Miami. I think Jimmy is a great piece to have next to him, a guy who has no problem taking a step back and letting him score 35 points, and he'll just go out there, get his 22 and, just great defense. And, Bam is another type of guy I think has no problem taking a step back. They don't have any draft picks, so I don't know. Yeah. It would take a lot for them to get them.
It would have to be Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson for sure.
It would take way more than that. For sure. I don't know how they would get it, and they just announced today that they're out of the running. But James Harden, imagine James Harden in the Vice City
jerseys right next to Jimmy and Bam. Oh man,
Flamin'.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that the most fun team would probably be the Heat for me, but I don't think they can pull that off and still keep Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. I'm gonna stick with the Sixers though. I mean, I love Joel Embiid. As a KU alum, I'm sure you're a big Embiid fan as well.
Hell yeah.
And I think Ben Simmons, I don't like his fit on this. I just think I'd like to see Ben Simmons on a different team. I think Ben Simmons.
I agree.
I think if you put him on that Rockets team, I think it'd be a lot more fun than him on the Sixers team. I love, again, Christian Wood. Man, I love Christian Wood. I think he's going to be awesome. But as far as the Sixers rosters go, I think James Harden would fit in nicely with them.
He'd almost
James Harden and Joel Embiid would be a scary duo.
That would
Throw
be.
in Tobias Harris, Danny
Flawless,
Green.
for sure.
Man.
All right, just a couple more questions for you. Who do you have winning MVP this year?
Yeah, so I've been saying it everywhere. I've been pretty consistent on it, and it's kind of scary for me because I got a really good streak going, knock on wood. I've predicted the last 4 or 5 straight. But I got Anthony Davis. I say it with a lot of hesitation. I think just because LeBron, of course, is going to take away votes from him, and LeBron could have won it by himself, that's for sure. But the reason why I say this, I just think he's going to bounce off this championship like never before. I think it was exactly what he needed to lift him to the next dimension of his career and to his all-time status. And I think he's just going to take advantage of that and let it go. And I think LeBron's just going to hand him the keys, really. I think LeBron really took a step back last year as a primary number one option and became that passer playmaker and just wanted to really capitalize on another dimension of his game and another aspect of his career. And so I think LeBron's going to continue on that path and even go another little step backwards, even though his numbers could be MVP numbers. Again, I really think they will be, but I just think games played, LeBron's not going to play as many this year. I think he wants to prolong and really make it to play with Bronny James or be in the league at the same time as him. So he's got to cut back on games. It just makes sense from a science perspective. And even though LeBron's defied it throughout his whole career, and I never think he's going to slow it down, I just think LeBron's rested a long time ago and he'll rest again at some point, as long as he knows he can trust the team. And I think Anthony Davis finally has what it takes to just carry a team to a 50-win season and be that dude. So that's why I really believe in that pick.
That's a solid pick for sure. My biggest concern with AD and LeBron, I feel like they're going to get the Steph and KD treatment where both of them put up MVP numbers. We're the number one seed. Sure. And everyone's like, well, of course, you two are playing together, and we're not going to vote for you. So that's the only reason why I don't see either of them winning it. But, yeah.
Arguably the greatest duo ever. Yeah. Super hard to not.
But I do like that pick. Personally, I have Nikola Jokic. I think Nikola Jokic is going to have his best regular season ever. I know he's not a great regular season player, but last year I had him finishing second. This year I think he's going to take his game to another level. Plus, he lost a lot of weight, and I haven't gotten a chance to check Nuggets out in preseason. Hopefully, he held that weight off, and it's going to help him a lot. But I think the Nuggets are just going to go all in the regular season and get the 1 seed. And I think Nikola Jokic is just going to put up crazy numbers like 25, 12, and 7. And really the only thing I'm nervous about is his scoring. Like, I don't know if he's going to score that much. But, yeah, Anthony Davis is definitely a fantastic pick. I know a lot of people are picking Luka.
I am picking Luka.
Right, everybody is. Yeah, but I just
the
don't.
betting favorite.
Sorry,
like his numbers are going to be there. I just don't think the record will be, especially with KP's injury. I just don't think they're going to be a top 3 seed like they'll need to be in order for him to win.
Oh.
Where Jokic, yeah, they could finish number 1 in the West, but I don't believe his numbers will be there. But those numbers that you mentioned, if you believe in those, yeah, that motherfucker can win.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I just don't think Luka's going to get enough wins. I think he'll have the numbers. He just won't get enough wins to get the MVP. But he is the betting favorite right now. I think Will has him as.
I will say I sat down this week and I went through all of my predictions. And originally I did go with Luka, but that was actually before I did my seeding. So and then once I did the seeding, I actually have the Mavs down at a 7 seed, and I'm like, There's no way you're going to win MVP as a 7 seed. So,
smart man.
Yeah. So I actually think Anthony Davis is a great pick, but this might be a little crazy. I'm going to go with Damian Lillard. I've got the Blazers finishing at the 4 seed.
I did.
I love the addition of Robert Covington. I love getting back Nurkic. I think that is going to do wonders for that offense. Year in, year out, Damian Lillard is probably one of the most underrated players, throughout history. Year in, year out, he just wills that team to a playoffs. And I just think this year they finally finished with that higher seed, and he finally gets that respect he deserves. You could make a case for Damian Lillard could be the most valuable player on one's team outside of LeBron James for the last 5 or 6 years now. He's single-handedly willed them to the playoffs.
Harden would say something, and Jokic would say something. But yeah, you're right. He's right there.
Sure. Yeah, he's up there. I will say with if you took him off the team, man, that team isn't going anywhere. So I think we see close to 30. I think we see like a 29-7 season from Damian Lillard, and they finish with the 4 seed. And I think Damian Lillard finally wins the MVP. He's that talent.
He had better stats last year, so if he didn't win last year,
I think it's seeding.
His team was worse last year.
Right, his team was garbage last year. And
yeah.
I'm with you, Will. I'm in love and infatuated with the Blazers. This is as high as I've ever been on them, and I actually have Dame 3 in my predictions for MVP. I think he's going to finish that high. I just think the Blazers are going to finish in the top 3. I really do. But it's not that likely. That's my prediction, and I think this is the year Nurkic is fully healthy, and he's so incredibly valuable and talented, and has a ways to go to where I think he's going to be. Zach Collins is fully healthy. Gary Trent's going to take a leap. I believe in all of that, and so the last factor is McCollum's back going to hold up to get him to that record they need, because I think it's a guaranteed Dame's stats will be there unless he really allows Nurk and Gary Trent to take away from him. But I don't necessarily bank on that. So, I think there's a great shot Dame can actually do it this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, going on the Blazer rosters, I actually think I actually like Harry Giles. He had a really good preseason. I think he could be an important player for them. And I talked about this a little in the beginning of the show. I really like Anthony Simmons.
I'm over him.
I think he could be a great young player, and I don't know how much tick he gets plays, but look for him to take a big jump in the next year or two, in my opinion. But yeah, I love. So I just wanted to ask you really quick, Zach, since you said you had the Blazers up at 3.
Let me get you my exact pick. Yep, I got them at number 3.
Okay, and so I think we all had the Lakers, Nuggets, and Clippers as our top 3, right? So just out of curiosity, who do you have above them, the 2 teams above them?
So I agree on 1 and 2. I got Lakers 1. I got Denver at 2. I got Blazers 3. Mavericks at 4. Clippers at 5.
Yeah, actually, I think I'm the only one here who has the Clippers as the 1 seed.
I got Clippers at 4.
It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me, but they're banking on too much health. They always are, and I just don't. I don't trust the chemistry nor the health of that team. So that's why they're down. But talent-wise, they can definitely be the 1 seed for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it is tough for me there. It's a really tough year making predictions, especially like you said earlier with the Rockets, man. That was, I mean, where do you have, the Rockets is just the biggest domino. So again, it's really hard to make predictions this year. We don't even have a second half schedule. So like usually we do what each team's records we're going to be. We didn't even do that this year because it was going to be incredibly hard to figure that out. But all right, we just got one final question for you. Again, we know it's really tough to do predictions for this, but what is your NBA Finals prediction?
My NBA Finals prediction is the Lakers are going to win and they're going to repeat as long as they stay healthy. I don't see anybody getting close to taking this team down. They got better this year, and like I truly believe Anthony Davis is going to man up one more spot. LeBron's going to be still at his best. The East is a really tough one. It's a tough call. I think Brooklyn's as good as anybody on paper, but with chemistry and health issues, I'm not going to boost them that high yet, but I'm going Milwaukee.
Finally get through.
I'm going Milwaukee. I think they finally get through with it. I think there's probably another trade to be made at some point, but I just think Giannis is going to figure it out one of these days. I just believe in him that much, and I think Drew Holiday is an upgrade. Just the moves they made around the margins as well. But again, it wouldn't shock me if one of 6 teams made it. I think the East is literally up in the air for 6 teams, which is incredible, that are on basically that same exact tier in my estimation, 1 through 6, where the West, it's like the Lakers and the Clippers, that's it. And the Lakers are a tier above him in my estimation.
I am 100% with you on the Lakers. I think they'll have some competitive series in the West simply because the West is so talented, but I just don't I don't see anyone that can beat them 4 times. We're actually all not as high on Milwaukee as you are. We all have Milwaukee being 2 seed or better, but we all think there's just some limitations to that roster.
There is.
That gets exposed to the playoffs. So for me personally, I actually have the Lakers over the Celtics. I really think Jason Tatum is going to take another step and really carry this Boston roster. And I agree with you. I'm actually pretty high on this. I think the Nets make the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think they're going to have chemistry and health issues that's going to affect their ability to even go one more level. And I know KD has just killed it in preseason, but I think he's gonna miss some games. Kyrie always misses games.
I think they're the second deepest team in the league, in my opinion.
And that's why I think
who is
Brooklyn
Celtics?
Nets.
Oh yeah, no, I think they're the deepest personally.
No, Boston is one of the least deep teams.
Thank you. There we go.
Yeah, Boston has a lot of depth issues, but I'm super high on Jason Tatum, so I really think that that he can carry them a long way. And I love Brad Stevens.
I'm with you, man. I love Boston. I'm as high on them as anybody, but I just Kemba Walker's injuries. I mean, that's why my preseason pick they're not there. I mean, I believe in their depth very much, and yeah, Walker and losing Gordon Hayward is going to be bigger than people make it out to be. They got too much young players they need to develop right now, but yeah, Jason Tatum could be in that top 5 for MVP, and then it's a different story. But I don't think they can compete with the rest of the East with that depth.
Yeah, plus he's 19 for the 5th year in a row. So
exactly, I watched him in the playoffs firsthand, living out in Boston. His first 2 or 3 years going head to head with LeBron. So it's like being able to experience that live in person, like gave me another notch on him. More love to him.
Yeah. So, do you guys want to quickly spit out your finals predictions, and then we'll let Zach get out of here?
I actually have the Lakers repeating, and I do have them beating the Nets. I think KD and Kyrie rest enough this regular season to where we really don't care where we're seeding. I'm playing with one of my best friends. Let's get to the playoffs, and then business can really get down to get going at it.
I have the same. We're just have the same predictions all day.
Jake and I just on the same. That's
all on the same wavelength.
Yeah, same wavelength.
That's our superpowers.
That's our superpowers.
Yeah, man, you guys, man, I'm just the worst, aren't I? I think the Clippers are the team this year that they were supposed to be last year. I like that they moved on from Doc Rivers. I don't think, in my opinion, I think people are underestimating how much for that roster and upgrade Ibaka is over a Montrezl Harrell. I love Montrezl on the Lakers, but I think he wasn't the right fit at power forward for that team. And we really, I mean, if it wasn't for arguably two of the most epic collapses from superstars, I mean, it's a different conversation about the Clippers right now. So I really think Paul George and Kawhi Leonard go into the season with a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, and they go out and beat the Brooklyn Nets for the championship. It's my
love it.
Yeah, I'm going a little out there. I'm going a little out there. I mean, pretty much Lakers are the consensus pick, and you know what? If it's tough for me, but I do think with moving on from Doc Rivers, making that coaching change. I mean, Doc Rivers has now been involved in 3 different blown 3-1 playoff leads, and he's I believe 6 playoff series where he's had the lead 3-2, and still found a way to lose. So maybe that's pointing towards his ability to make adjustments throughout the series. I don't know. I think Ty Lue's a better coach, though. I think he'll be better for that roster.
I don't.
No, but I hope you're right.
Yeah, I hope I'm right, too. I think Doc Rivers, come playoff times, held them back a little bit. And I just don't think we see Kawhi Leonard and Paul George play as poor as we did in the playoffs.
Kawhi, no. PG, maybe.
PG, yeah. The bar's set pretty low for PG now.
Man, what a fall from grace from that 7-game series on the Pacers against Miami.
Hey, we'll get to see 3 of those 4 teams kick it off tomorrow night. Brooklyn and Golden State, and Battle of LA.
It's a lot easier to do it when you're on a team that's not predicted to do shit, but when you're predicted to do it all, the pressure can amount for sure.
And PG just got that extension too, so the pressure's really on the Clippers right now.
I was just chilling.
He's just vibing.
Collecting them checks.
Just vibing. All right. Zach Noble, we want to thank you for coming on to our show tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate you came on late. There was a delay. We got a little behind schedule. So thank you for being able to adjust with us. You're actually our very first guest on the show. So congratulations to you on that.
Hey,
you're going
means a lot, my dude.
Hey, you're going in AcrossThaPlain Hall of Fame. So welcome.
Put it on the board.
Again, Zach Noble is the host of BallisLife podcast, Noble-Roosh Show, and 4 Seasons. And again, thank you very much for coming on to the show, sir.
Thanks a lot, guys. Fun time, and anytime guest, I'm down. So enjoy the year, and let's keep interacting for sure.
Absolutely, awesome. It's fun talking to you. Let's all hope we're happy Wolves fans at the end of the year.
Let's go Wolves.
Any hope, please. Any hope.